All right, it's 6 o'clock and we are going to call the order this Public Works meeting. And first order of business is our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call.
Lost that one or?
That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
Trustee Siri,
Here.
trustee Van Roof. All right. We're now opening it up to public comment, and please note the public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Are anybody interested in making any public comments? No. All right. And wow, the last meeting we had that I had with Dawn was literally in May 8th, 2024. So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Facts on here. Yeah.
All right, so items for action and or discussion. First up, permission to bid project 2026-01 Washington Avenue reconstruction. Administrator Jenkins?
All right. So we all know about this project that's coming up here. It's Washington Avenue. It's a complete reconstruction of that road. So the asphalt and the underlying utilities. We expand a little bit into North Milwaukee along that intersection there, just because, and Eric can explain more, but due to the sewer line connections that need to connect, we might as well patch up some of that work too. It also consists of some sidewalks, so replacement of all the sidewalk along Washington Ave, as well as some spot patching along North Milwaukee there. In total, we budgeted $570 for this work. In our budget, we had $220 for paving, $140 for water, and $210 for sewer. If you look in the packet, the estimate that Strand gave us is about $548, and that includes that expansion into North Milwaukee there. A couple things that number doesn't include is it doesn't include engineering. Engineering is typically 5% of whatever the bid ends up coming in at. And it also doesn't include a reimbursement for sidewalk. So the village hasn't done this in quite a while since Wilson was done. But being that we're reconstructing and we have sidewalk included, that sidewalk is eligible for a special assessment onto the property owners for reimbursement to the village. And again, Eric can explain a little bit more, but generally majority of the sidewalk that's used for public use is eligible for direct special assessment. But any sidewalk squares where the laterals are going to be in as an improvement for us, then we'll comp those sidewalk squares. And so you'll see a delineation when the eventual resolution comes to the board that says this is the sidewalk that we're going to cover as a village, and this is the sidewalk per parcel that we're going to ask to get reimbursed. And there's a whole process by ordinance in which we do that.
One quick question.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it during not the meeting I missed earlier today, but the previous one. They were going to do some of the project management and we were going to do, does the 548 include their management or?
No, so that's part of that engineering.
That's part of
that's the 5%.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, this will be similar to what we did with with Wenzel, where, I can imagine Eric and his team will do a lot of that supervision, and then we'll really just bring the engineering out to just double check the work when that time comes. So at this point, we're asking for permission to go into bid. The bids then will be compiled. And we actually decided today it'll be February 5th is when we'll get those bids in, which will be in time for that village board meeting too. So we'll come in with those numbers. Historically, Strand has been higher than what we have seen the numbers actually come in at. So we'll say a hope and a prayer that that's the case again. And then we'll come in with the lowest acceptable bidder as the one that we would go with. And then at that time, you guys can choose to accept or not. And then if we do, that would then allow us to go out with our bonding package. So I know, DJ, you're fairly new, but every 2 years when we do our bonding package, what we have done is we've done it right away at the beginning of the year. being that the timing of this is so close to when we're bidding, we're just gonna wait until we have the actual numbers. That way when we bond out, we'll know exactly how much we need to get and not just kind of guess. So we'll do that for this project, and then the next one you'll be bidding out as well. I think that's all I have. I don't know if Eric has anything else.
The only thing that's not here that Chris mentioned is the geo catching.
Oh, the geotechnical work?
Yeah, compacting, so the soil, so. They talked about it was cheaper and easier if we did it, as we hired a contractor, not contractor hiring their own contractor. So that, I'm assuming not to exceed 10 grand.
Yeah, he estimated it might be like $5,000.
Okay,
I'm not really bad right now, still was remembering what those are, what, so where is this?
it's right over there.
It's just a little connector road between Wilson and Milwaukee.
Is that the one that's going by, like, that goes up by Jens, like?
No.
Yeah.
No, okay, so Wilson is right in front of Divine Savior. And then Milwaukee is
Right.
right
Yeah,
there,
that's
so
that
there's a little connector road
Oh.
between Wilson, about a block up.
Got it.
So
Trying to learn.
it kind of definitely goes downhill. So,
Big thing is there's no storm sewer on that road. So
it floods out.
currently. There's two catch basins, one on each side of the road at the end of Washington and North Milwaukee that are not in the curb line. So the water goes down the curb and then floods the road to get to it. So we're gonna put them in line in the curb. Adding ADA compliant sidewalks on North Milwaukee and. Well, actually, we're taking that curved one away because we didn't wanna empty it into the road. So they'll they'll come around, Washington, North Milwaukee to North Milwaukee, because sidewalks on west side of North Milwaukee. Towards Virginia up, and then it jumps to the east side, so we'll have that connector now. And then, due to the amount of water main breaks I have on Washington. The water main they're doing on North Milwaukee will go 8-inch and then a valve on each side. And then a valve in the middle, so if I do have a break somewhere, I don't have to shut. All of North Milwaukee down. And then when we ever do it in the future. The main's right there, connect right to it. Then we don't have to go through that intersection for it all.
And all of the water mains, the line underneath Washington will all be getting replaced.
Yep, we're gonna go from 6-inch cast iron to 8-inch
Lastly,
plastic
that'll reduce the
pipe burst sewer. It'll be nice. We are adding another manhole due to our sewer jetter. Only has 450 feet and I think it's 515. I couldn't quite reach to the end, so we're gonna add one down there. So then I can clean the whole street.
I guess my other question would be some of this minor stuff that's on this list, would our crews be able to handle doing? With the equipment that we have. I mean, I've seen there's some stuff on like. Remove existing storm sewer pipe. Remove existing storm sewer inlets, remove stumps. Is that something we can do ourselves with crews we have with this new mini excavator that we wanted and?
The only issue with doing that is I have to time it when they're here, because if I remove what's there. I'm gonna have holes in the road. And since they're removing that and adding new pipe. So,
Yeah, they'll remove it and then add the new pipe as they're doing it.
yeah, in different
They'll
spots.
Cut the trench, they'll remove it and then they'll immediately.
Problem with the stump is our curb stop is in that stump. So that would have to be when they're gonna put a new line in, then cut that one out. It's the only stump I know.
I mean, those aren't huge costs, but I just, if the village could handle some of that, then it would.
The only thing that I could see that we could do, but again, then we're taking 2 guys away. During our busy time is we could do the restoration, so. Put the dirt down and seeding it and watering it. I think they got 10 grand in there for that. If that's something we're okay with, it's probably gonna be $400 worth of seed and fertilizer and then just start tying. So I mean, obviously I can cut that cost if that's something. I mean, I'd be fine with that.
We'll have to see what they actually bid.
Yep. Who did the seeding on most? Was that the contractor or was that us?
No, that was the contractor.
Okay, because I was gonna say whoever did it did an awful job. I knew about those things.
So-
And I'm still having problems. Has it been 3 years now?
So the issue with going to a contractor is if there is an issue. To get that contractor or the subcontractor to come back out and do it.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
But I've also learned in previous experiences, sometimes you can never please a homeowner.
I'm just trying to get you, right?
Not referring to you, but
Yeah, I do know, yeah, I have some neighbors that are finicky, so yes.
so it gets hard to constantly go back out. But I'm willing to take on the challenge to save money.
Okay, well, that's why I'm just asking if the contractor does it and then, you know. Everybody's left with these huge bare spots or patches.
I mean, I'm only mentioning some of the small nickel and dime things, just because if we have the capability of doing some of them and we can reduce the cost of the job even 20,000, that's 20,000 saved people. Taxpayers for things that we already have equipment and stuff to be able to do and
Yeah, the biggest thing I saw in that too, Lemonade would have been, you know, the grass seeding. It's not a big area, I mean, we can do it. You know, I know I can do it for more than half of what they're charging, less than half.
I hope it's less than
half.
Probably better jobs.
So, I mean, yeah, we can omit that out.
And I will say, I agree with Administrator Jenkins, of all the contracts that I've seen that Striking has done, they've usually been very conservative, very high, so.
Yeah.
It should be a little less.
And I would say the other piece to this is the contingency, if you look at that. They have a 10% contingency, which is typical for our contracts too. But when you're doing a direct replacement and not a fix, I should say that, then the likelihood of a unknown coming up that we have to pay for is probably less.
Hmm.
So like, for example, we did Highland, we ended up having to expand into Regal more than we planned. That's what we used our contingency for. That's just because of the way the pipes were hooked up. Whereas this project scope already includes that connecting point,
Okay.
and we're direct replacing everything else.
And
So,
Wilson is already done.
and Wilson's already
So
there. Yeah.
we're tying into a completed project with Wilson and, yeah.
So I think once we get the bids in, you know, we might feel more comfortable recommending that only like maybe a 5%, right, contingency, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't, just like Wendell, we don't need them out there 24/7 watching. They can do a lot of it, but when it comes to the exact elevations to make sure they're doing it right, so we don't see stuff blow uphill. So,
Sewer and water lines are pretty exact. And if there's any problems afterwards, we can go straight back to the contractor because they failed to follow the engineer plans versus you doing it and then you having to dig up that stuff. All right. Do they have permission to? Let's see, do we just have to do a motion? Okay. Motion to give permission to bid project 2026.
Second.
Second, okay, I'll make the motion, you second.
I guess I don't know who has to do what.
Well, there's only two you on this committee.
It's
so-
weird when there's only two here.
I know. We'll just take turns back and forth, how does that sound?
There you go.
All right, the second item up for action discussion is bid project.
I'm sorry, you got to call for a vote. I don't mean
Call
to be
for a vote.
picky.
Aye.
Aye. There.
Yeah, thank you.
Second item up for action is permission to bid project 2026-02 reconstruction of Stony Creek Park and Fillmore Street municipal lots with bid alternate for culvert replacement and mill and overlay of section of Fillmore Street.
Good job. I think you did that with one breath.
I did.
So again, in the CIP, we had planned to reconstruct both these parking lots. How we got into the number that's here is the 62,000 was allocated for a different project earlier on. And then when we changed things in our budget, we said, well, then we'll just allocate 62,000 towards this project and see what we can get done. I say all that to say that I feel pretty confidently that if we went out to bid to reconstruct these two parking lots and try to do a portion of Fillmore, I guarantee you $62,000 was not gonna do it. And we acknowledge that too. So we put our heads together to see what we could do. And to trustee Searing's point earlier, we decided that a lot of the work probably could be done in-house. So that's the grinding and demo of the current parking lots, the digging up of the base, replacement of the base, and really getting everything prepped, and then just having a company come in to us. So that'll significantly drop the costs of that. And then we were trying to think of other ways to save money, and we remembered that depending on scope and size of a project, villages that are under 5,000 people can skip the bidding process and work with the county when it's deemed appropriate. And so this is one of those cases that we can just skip the bidding process altogether and go directly to the county. The county can come in and do the milling of the Fillmore and then come in with their asphalt paver just to do the stretch of the street and the two parking lots themselves. And then again, our guys will come back in and then do striping and all that. So that's really the only way that I can see us hopefully being able to do everything that we want to do with 62K. That they were gonna do the culvert as well. They're gonna do the install.
Yeah, I mean. Asphalt, I believe, hasn't gone up from last year per cost, so I mean, it's just.
Do we have the layout of that parking, like, are we gonna try to square that parking lot up more? With this reconstruction of
Which one?
Parking lot.
the lot behind, or is that not one of the ones on the,
Yeah, there
It
it
is.
is.
the one behind Jen's place?
Yeah,
Is that one?
that's
That's
the
the
Fillmore,
Fillmore Street.
and then Stony Creek is right up.
Yeah, so Fillmore Street, we don't have plans to show you yet, but Fillmore Street would extend a little bit further to the east. We'd get rid of that tree that's there. That adds like one or two more spaces.
So you were gonna do the loading dock.
Yeah, but then we're gonna do some sort of ramp.
Yeah, so,
I think that just needs a culvert and maybe some gravel.
yep, and it's not gonna be for cars to drive in and out, this will be just. A walkway to get. A dolly cart through and that's it.
But you could have somebody, a delivery person park there and.
Yep.
Go back and forth to the back kitchen entrance.
And then we'll stripe that as a loading zone area,
Yeah.
that, like a spot right
Right,
there.
well. I'll present when it's all done and we can see where whatever goes.
And then Stony Creek, we have that parking lot. You gotta turn a little bit to the northeast to straighten that out along the road that's there, have it expand the lip of the drive when you get in there. If you're familiar, it's really narrow.
Yeah,
So we're gonna expand that out to allow for 2 lanes of traffic in and out.
And then hopefully we can get that culvert, that one that does the really awesome dip.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
Get replaced, yeah.
Yes.
Which we did some digging and that one. Can you describe it? Like, it was it is fairly new.
No, it's not new.
It's not the plastic one that Brandon was looking
No,
at?
it's a 18-inch corrugated metal pipe that is 3/4 full right now. Just because of all the back from. What runs along the railroad tracks, the creek is filling up. I don't know if that can be dug out, cleaned up. So the park don't flood as much. I don't know how much I can keep touching before now I need DNR and everybody else in there, so.
Well, that's one of those things that Stan Tech, remember, they came through with us. I think that's one of the opportunities that if they can. One, nail it, get us a grant, and two, since they have those relationships with the DNR to kind of provide guidance on what we can do, that'd be helpful to do it at the same time, placing it in.
But it don't help, culvert's 4 inches underneath the road, so it's gonna. So,
And it's amazing
That's not
dip
very
when
far.
you don't really expect it, and all of a sudden in the spring you.
little speed bumps, slow people down.
Oh, yes. But the only problem with that, like I think we chatted earlier, is that we're waiting on the county, but if you can get it cheaper through the county. We will work their schedule.
Is that lot behind Jen's, does that get filled full a lot?
It's a good amount of cars, but not like full.
the, our parking lot or the front,
Our parking lot behind.
it fills up.
So for this one, if you agree, we do not want a permission to bid the project, we want a permission to, go with the county and proceed with it.
Like, who's gonna take down that massive tree? And that tree behind there is huge, isn't it?
There's a bucket truck.
That's not gonna reach the top of that tree. If I remember right, that tree back there is huge, isn't it?
It's pretty.
Little.
Lots of firewood from that one.
Okay, it is your turn to make a motion.
So we have to change the wording to this a little bit, right?
Yep.
For permission to
Permission to
work
contact.
with county,
Work with county.
Yeah, contract with counties or,
permission to contract with county for reconstruction of the Stony Creek Park and Fillmore Street lots. With,
All right, and I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next item up for action or discussion is review of our 2026 equipment list. Director Paulus.
I thought you were done with the equipment.
No, this is just a review of everything.
Oh,
he's never done.
I mean, honestly, I asked this when I first joined the Public Works Committee, because I decided that we needed to have a list of all of our equipment and lifespan for the lifespan of the piece of equipment and what we needed to look at for planning future.
I would say this list was broken up. We, like the marshal had his own list, fire department had his own list, Derek had his
Yeah,
own
this is-
list, the auditors had.
Everything's the village, not just all mine.
Yeah.
he's gotta make sure.
But it's good, now that we have a comprehensive list, we can really look forward to what can we do? Can we back out a little bit, a few more years off this piece of equipment, or do we desperately need a new piece?
So I will give you, when I started in 2023 and I walked through the buildings and I thought I was at an old farm salvage yard. So the last 3 years, the village has greatly improved some of the equipment, including like mowers that actually cut grass and trucks that drive. So we have
No, we still, sorry.
So what Chris has done here was put what's due up in 28 or that's due up for replacement. Doesn't mean that it is gonna get replaced, it's, just an ask on my part or DPW part to,
It's just our average lifespan.
right, keep these up and going. I know on here, which is due in 2028, and it's not highlighted in here, but my biggest and my number one push request need is gonna be that plow truck. Luckily, we got it back today, so hopefully maybe this weekend you'll see some snow and they'll break it down. But I've spent a lot of money, when I say I, the village, spent a lot of money to fix that truck. And it's, we salted yesterday with it, it's working. But if this keeps going down, I don't know what to do. It's a piece that I need. We have 2 salt trucks in the village. And we've only had one since the breakdown on Thanksgiving. So it takes about 4.5 hours to salt the village with one truck. That's salting, not plowing.
Right.
So that is gonna be my biggest request and push come the next budget is to get that truck. The next thing is, like fire trucks, they are 3 years out. So. Just put that,
Is our, not the Sterling, but the other salting truck, is that capable, like, that's capable of salting as while plowing, right?
yeah, the 2 trucks plow and salt together. But the problem is, so like the loader.
But then it has to go back over areas that were
And salt
plowed
over
already,
areas,
to salt those areas.
So 2 years ago, last year. We had that, I don't know if it was 12 inches that clean, and then it got real cold and wind and everything, and then everybody in industrial park was complaining. We plowed that open, but the salt truck was over there, so when it finally got over there, everything was pure ice. So, and I've already reached out to the county and asked if I could borrow something, and they said they don't have anything. I've asked the village of Belgium, they don't have anything. So we are. Our 2 pieces of equipment, that's it.
How much it would cost to add a salter to our loader?
I don't even know how you do that.
Did you order a new salter or the bag of our new loader?
No. The loader was enough for me. So. Other than that, I was telling Chris, our three biggest, most expensive items coming up. That haven't been replaced would be, you know, the plow truck. The bucket truck, which we can do used, I'm fine with that, just. It's not very,
Considering the one we have is from 1988, any.
and it's stick shift, so to try and bring somebody in that
Yeah.
doesn't know how to drive stick and then parking on the hill and freaking out.
So you teach
Then I gotta keep somebody in that truck, so it don't take off.
My son is going to work. And I'm going to take care of that.
And then the backhoe. And the backhoe too, I do use. But just get it out of the 20-year-old mark and get something that works.
So one of the things, just so you know that, one, I'm doing my job, and two, we're keeping in mind the bigger picture of the finances of the village. I mean, I've had serious conversations with Eric and so much so that we've said, well, you've lasted this long, right, with this other piece of equipment out of commission. You know, tell me why we really need to still replace this plow truck. And you know, I give Eric a lot of credit that he's trying to be as creative as he can, like you had said, with what can we add on or do or change how we do the plowing. But still, if that one plow goes down, and we're really.
We have nothing. Salt grinding work, you get out there right before or during. But I mean, once the road's covered to put salt grind down, you're lost it already. And I only have one piece of equipment that has a tank on it that can do that.
Yeah, it doesn't really pay to salt after the road ice is over, because now it's gotta melt through that 1 inch of ice before it actually gets to blacktop and then the high.
And Michelle fielded a lot of calls when that industrial park froze over.
So currently on our CIP list, we have the plow truck for 300,000 in 2028's fiscal year. So not the current 2-year borrowing cycle that we're in, but the next one. But that's alongside a lot of other pieces of equipment that are inevitably going to get pushed back to future years. And so, but at least you're hearing that when we do that, and we push back those other pieces of equipment, this might be one of those that just have to stay in that year.
Yeah,
So,
so
and I think we discussed too, like the Marshall's truck. It's actually, when you think about how many miles they actually do drive and stuff, so that one actually, we could push that one off. but-
Do we know how many miles are on
usually with the squads, when I would get them, they'd have like 40,000 miles on it. It's not really the miles because they're not riding in the county. It's the hours on the vehicle,
that? Yeah.
the
Idling
content
hours.
running, yeah. That's what hurts it. When I sold the last one, they didn't care about the miles, they cared about the hours.
Yeah, the idle hours. Yeah, that's pretty common with police vehicles, is it's more the idle hours that wear them out versus. We used to go to the police auctions and there'd be cars there with 35,000 miles, and you're like, oh, sweet, 35,000 mile Charger, and then it's like, oh, look, it has thousands and thousands of idling hours.
Yep.
So, and maybe we can make some amendments tonight if the 4 of us agree. So let me just read off what we have planned for 2028's equipment replacement, and then that way you guys correlate it to the list you have here. So the first big one is the fire truck. So it's the fire ladder truck, 660. We're budgeting like 1.5, 1.6 million for that. That's either going to be, I'll say, one of 3 options, either A, gigantic borrowing that the village will do. B, a grant falls from on high that we're constantly looking for. Or C, it's a combination where it just spread out even further, borrowing, cash on hand, maybe some grants. But that means that we probably won't get the equipment until further down the line. So just be aware of that, because that's the biggest ticket item that's coming up. After the fire truck, we have a bucket truck, we have 100K budgeted for that. To Eric's point, if we went with the used one, that might be able to get cut down a little bit. We have a snow blower cab tractor with attachments. That's one of the ones that Eric, I know you and I talked about, that might not be the highest priority in the world if we didn't need it to be.
And so, you know, have to cut them off, but like with that one there. That one I'd be looking at replacing like one or two other piece of equipment and having one. So,
So you possibly sell some stuff too and then be able to reimburse. We have the replacement for the New Holland backhoe, that's 150K. Then we have the big plow truck we've been talking about, that we budgeted 300. And then the final one is the squad car? Yeah, the squad. That's about 61,000. So again, we don't need to make decisions tonight, but if we do agree that any of these can wait, that's helpful, and then we'll just keep kicking them down the line for a future fiscal year. So I don't know, Eric, do you have any concessions you want to make tonight, or?
so, with the backhoe, I know we're getting a mini. But what's nice with the backhoe is when I have the loader with plow on it for plowing snow, if I need to load anything, that's what loads it right now. So that. I've been looking at ways to not use it, but then it's also nice too, if I gotta run up on the other side of town. I just drive it up there, the mini, I'm gonna have to load on a trailer, and haul it up. I get it, we get paid by the hour, but sometimes things shouldn't wait that long.
I guess then my bigger question would be, what was the need for the mini if we're gonna have a backhoe?
Sidewalk replacements,
A backhoe could do a sidewalk.
try and do that if you're on the end.
Yeah, and it also rips up a lot more than.
It's easier to. Because the mini can do a 360, I mean, I don't need to explain to you what.
I know, I mean, I understand the ease of use difference, I just know that with capabilities and costs and being so small. We have to think, yes, it might be easier, but in the long run. Can we justify the cost of having both of them sitting in the garage?
That's,
I guess,
that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
maybe that's when we think about pushing off just a little bit too.
Yeah, and so
It's,
the,
it actually, since it is a couple of years out, see how much you use the mini.
no, and I know we're gonna use the mini. A lot, I mean, we did this summer, this past summer. It's the capabilities of the loader, and if we do need the backhoe to quick run somewhere, pull something out. That one is not, the price I gave was for a used one. So he says that's high, even in 2 years. But I'd rather shoot high than come in low and then be like, well, I need more money. So. And it'd be the same with that New Holland. That 3930 tractor, that would be combined with either the backhoe or the stone machine down front.
what would that 39? Oh, so we wouldn't need that 3930 if we
Correct.
had a new backhoe.
Either the backhoe or if you go down to. What's that? See that? It was 100,000. Was the snow blower again?
Simpler cab tractor with attachments?
Yeah, where's that one?
I haven't seen it used.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
So that could help replace that, because we could get a bigger tractor. I don't know if anyone's seen, like, when they plow the Catholic school, he's got that. 80-horse tractor that's got the bucket. I could probably get rid of 3 vehicles to get one. But I don't wanna start kicking things out, putting that on there, and then I lose everything, so. Yeah, so that's what the backhoe, the bucket truck. I mean, so it puts their flags up, that's what we trim trees with. So do work on buildings with. I'm not asking for new, nor do I want new, I just want something that's not a stick shift and. Will pass inspection. So I don't pass inspection.
I mean, not that they're great, but have we considered the option of a bucket trailer? Instead of a giant whole bucket truck? Maintenance would be much less, it would hook onto the back of the 1 tons. And I don't know how high we need to get. But some of those bucket trailers reach 40, 45 feet.
They'll reach high enough. I mean, it can, I mean, it's. I mean, if anyone's noticed, I've been slowly eliminating decorations and. Flags off the north side of Fredonia Ave and then kept a minimum on the hill. For that reason, because of the brakes failing. Yeah, I mean, it's just.
I mean, those bucket trailers, they have the hydraulic, you know, like the hydraulic, stabilizers. And like if we were on a hill, you can push those hydraulic stabilizers to level it out. So it would just be a matter of chocking the wheels when you get out first and then lowering the stabilizers to get it level. And then you can go up.
Like I said, I'd have to see the advantage of. And the speed too of it. I'll just compare like Fredonia's Telesport, the ladder truck to ports. I could get that set up into a building in less than 5 minutes, it'll take 4 or 15. And that's just, it's less outriggers, it's less, it's. Put the pump in gear, run them down, you're up and in there, well, they gotta pull everything out, level everything. So I'm not opposed to it, I'll look into it. It's just, I know it's. It's 2 guys, 1 vehicle, they pull up to it. One guy gets out, engages clutch, he goes up. So, I'm not opposed to it, I'll look into it.
Yeah, I mean, not that I. Don't think if we need it, we need it, but at the same time, if we can. Instead of spending 125 grand, if we can get one for 60 grand. That can do the same job, but maybe takes 10 minutes to get up there instead of 5.
Right.
And then, yeah, like you said, with the other things, I think that's great that you're looking at. Okay, if I buy this with these attachments, I could get rid of these 3 pieces, because that's kind of. The way the small villages, I think, need to go. It's not like 30 years ago where you could just have this tractor dedicated for this, and you can just buy another tractor because they cost $4,000 or $5,000. They're not.
See, the Ford doesn't get used much, nor really much person knows how to drive it. I'm just not including me, but one other guy, because Rick was the one that drove it, he retired. So Jason drives it now, but it gets like 12 hours a year out. And. For what? But I need to cut the weeds in the ditch, and that's the only thing I got. Besides weed eating.
And any of that equipment that you've got. Would you work on trade-ins or would you sell outright?
I'd probably put them in auction. I know someone's asked this for a bucket truck. Another small municipality says, we don't need much. We don't have no hills like you do that work great. They actually use it to remove their decorations, so they're waiting in the wing. But you're not gonna get much, it's.
No.
It's a frame sitting on 3,500 chassis.
250,000.
The backhoe, yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to come in and give me a ton, but I would probably say not. Seats broke, windshield broke, the heat don't work, the brake don't work. The backhoe don't stay up. Then I've had people come out and I've taken their places and. You don't know.
That was a lot of questions.
With the only thing I'm gonna ask is. Or say, is with that plow truck. So the plow truck was due out to 24. Got pushed from 24 to 26. And by hitting that 20-year mark is when we stuck a lot of money into it. Now, if we are still 2, 3, 4 years out on these trucks, I'm not looking for no Cadillac, and I'll cut as much as I can on it, seat belts, safety stuff, I'll get upgrade all that. But If we wait till 28, then I have to wait till 2031. I guess. I'm gonna be asking the board probably this summer to. Go ahead and get one going. What I've been told is there would be,
Timeframe. Yeah.
there would be no money down until the truck shows up. But I mean. The two places that are close, Sheboygan and Burke Truck, and then
And are they like 2 years out?
Cooley's was the International West Bend, which closed. So I'm either Milwaukee, Waukesha, or Sheboygan, Green Bay. Yeah, I've gotten costs already on a bill of what we want. So,
Have we ever? Not that we necessarily want to buy used, but have we ever looked at like the WISDOT auctions or the MnDOT auctions at their plow trucks when they're bringing them up? Cause I know like I used to go to the city of Minneapolis auctions often, and that's where they got rid of all the old police cruisers and then got rid of all the city plow trucks, but. Half the time those plow trucks had like no miles on them. I mean, the blades were barely rusted yet and they were already dumping them on
I
auction.
mean, it's the one we're fixing, it's got 11,000 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand, again, that's another hard abused vehicle that's pushing snow, but
And what kills us the most on that is when I load them up in November, I don't unload them until April. I don't have any salt storage. So they sit on the truck in a shop. For 5.5 months with salt on it. And if I have to take it back to the county, they charge me. They charge me for the salt I paid for, and then if I wanna pick it back up, they charge me again.
So to answer trustee Searing's question, though, I think you do search like public
I do,
auction sites.
And then when I read in or I have Paul, like you said. No miles on it, it's 5, 6 years old, and they're like, well, we had the engine problem and. Like, oh, that's why it's in here, Usually when you put something in the auction, it's. Something wrong with it. Something.
And what is the lead, like I said, is it 2 years? The lead time?
When I was looking at I spec'd out 3 trucks, I was looking at anywhere from 2 to 4 years.
Okay.
And then they were having issues with the transmission they switched over to, that they couldn't get them when they were delayed, I don't know if it was tariffs or something, they couldn't get them, so.
So this summer you would like us to consider ordering one because it's gonna be 2028 to 2030 before you
Yeah.
get it.
And I think the International told me up to 4 years. And then they were saying that the batteries too now are gonna be changing and to change them, that's like 10 grand for these new batteries. Because of with the EPA requirements with the diesel that, they're supposed to power at. Think about this.
they have to keep the depth tanks power
Yeah,
to keep your depth from freezing in cold temps.
so.
And unfortunately, you can't get a truck that big with a gas engine in it. It's
So I'll do what I can, the spec that I got, I think was like 260, so I have room. And I know how to work a salesman pretty good, so. I think I can keep it under the 300 that I'm asking, but. I don't wanna come in at 200 and, hey. We get rid of a fire truck, to pay for a plow truck, so.
Well, as Chris said, we're working angles to hopefully get some money to help with the fire truck offset, but. So, all right, I would plan on
I'll come up with
the
some
board
words or something.
this summer because I think I've seen enough photos that you've sent me of miscellaneous liquid underneath the truck of stuff like
The floor will never be dry underneath that truck.
This is
But,
Martin's territory.
Yes.
I'll do whatever I
Everywhere.
can to, combine a vehicle or two and cut some costs, but. And I'm fine with buying a used piece over a new. And I know I can save a lot of money.
Yeah, I think you know what you're looking for, even looking at used pieces, so. You're gonna go out and get roped over a piece of bad equipment.
Yeah, I think I did pretty good.
Okay, any other discussion on the equipment list? All right, next up on just items for action or discussion is a review of the road rating list. Dr. Pulse.
Do you want me to explain the layout or do you want to do that?
Kevin, you know?
Okay. So this road list was compiled mostly with data from Whistler. Whistler is a Wisconsin database of roads. And so we start on the left side, we see the road that it's talking about. This might be a full road, a stretch of it. It might be just a section of road. It depends on if work was piecemealed and put together over the years at that point. And then it shows at what section of road it's talking about. So for example, with Wilson Street, it's going from County Road A to Washington Avenue. Then you have Paiser rating. So a Paiser rating is how you grade the pavement of a road. 10 being it's the smoothest brand new road you've ever driven on, and 1 being you're driving on, rubble. Then we have the roadway rating year. So that's the latest year when it was rated. Then you have the transportation the surface year. So it's last time that the road was surfaced. And then you have utility years. So this is a system that really kind of we adopted internally. And this works opposite of Paiser ratings. A 1 being it's the newest condition of utility, and then a 5 being that it's in poor condition. Then you have the year that it was installed, the mileage of the road, and then the last time that the road was certified by us. So the list that is before you is rated with our best quality roads at the top, and then our poorest quality down at the bottom. So you see ones like Wilson that we just did, Fir and Forest, Fraser that were just sealed, Highland that we just reconstructed. And then down at the bottom, you see the poorer ones.
I didn't entirely catch, what did you say the utility rating was? That's.
Yep, so the utility rating is really our definition of the water and sewer utility conditions,
Oh, got
with
it.
a 1 being a positive and a 5 being.
So we have some very smooth roads that have very poor utility ratings.
Kind of,
Well, 5 being the worst, because you have.
yeah, so like Tower
Copper
Drive.
If you're
Yeah.
10 super smooth, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So like Tower Drive, we just resurfaced not too long ago. So that one, yes, Paiser rating is a 10 because we just did that, but we never addressed the underlying utilities, so that's important. And the 4 could mean, that it's just a hodgepodge of sizes. It could mean that we know that it has a lot of brakes on there. There's a whole system that Eric and Braden use to kind of categorize
got it.
a road. But I just want to go to the end of this list here.
A lot of roads.
A lot of roads. Wonder if it's a good one here. So Wheeler, so let's look at Wheeler. Wheeler is the one that we've kind of kicked around whether we were going to do. We originally had Wheeler set for this year. But then we saw that the actual cost of addressing Wheeler, again, with the reconstruction, ended up being probably well beyond what our budget could handle. But you could see here, the reason why we recommended Wheeler is because it has such a poor Paiser rating and it's such a poor utility rating. And the last time it was addressed was 1963, right? So there's a reason that it's still top of mind to us, but that we still have to be strategic with obviously the amount of money that we have and what we can spend. And I will say, even more than fire engines, roads are the biggest costly thing that a municipality can deal with. And that is why you have such a competitive process for various grants. And then that's where I'll end with that. We did apply for a grant for Martin Drive this past winter. We'll know about that towards the end of spring here. And you can kind of see on our list here, Martin Drive is kind of right in the middle of the list. But this list doesn't take into account things like pedestrian traffic and the traffic that does come on those roads. And so because Martin Drive is such a well-used thoroughfare, both for vehicle traffic and pedestrians, we knew that it would score higher for that specific grant that we were going after. So I just point that out because this isn't an exact science, right? It would be easy to say, well, we'll just start at the bottom of the list and start knocking them off. But if the funding isn't there or the grants don't always match to be able to do that. So I'll end there and then Eric, I don't know if you have any observations you want to.
So yeah, we'll use Wheeler Government Shop. You drive a scooter on there, you're gonna lose it. There's sticks, there's holes, there's everything. I don't have brakes on there, but to prioritize that road over like Washington that gets driven by a lot of the residents, I mean, how do I justify something that's just used for business and our shop compared to, so.
And that sees a lot of semi-traffic, so
It does.
go and fix that.
So it's hard, it was kind of like when I came in and same with Chris was. What road did we kick out to do Highland? Because we were fixing Highland all the time, we had the brakes heavily used. A lot of traffic and that's kind of, people in the Fredonia even. So we switched it from whatever road it was. To the high traffic one, which
I think that was North Milwaukee. They were gonna do North Milwaukee and Washington as one big.
So- that what it was, so. So I sacrificed one road, but for one that gets driven and seen by a lot for businesses and. So. But now I have no brakes, I have no issues, and I have no problems on Highland now. We fixed a lot of. And like the restaurant there, and the pipe was too small coming out to the road that they would plug up, fix that.
And we do know that, you know, the average resident probably doesn't care about the utility rating, they care about the Payzer rating, right? What's the quality gonna be like when we're driving? So two things, one, when you take the average of all of our Payzers, we're at about 6.5, which is pretty good, actually, for a Wisconsin municipality. And obviously the recent work that we've done have helped pick that up. And two, it gives you a good reason to, the more that we can do kind of that mill and overlay work and seal coating and patching, the stuff that Eric has definitely put an emphasis on. That not only prolongs the life of the road, but to the average resident, it's sure gonna go a long way for their satisfaction as they're driving around. Yes, we might not have addressed the 20-year-old sewer line underneath, but we're at least prolonging the life of the road, and putting their mind at ease, so.
And even a 20-year-old sewer is much better than the 40-year-old that you would probably deal with in like Washington and Highland.
Oh, I know why the township I grew up in had all gravel roads.
Which you'll notice on our chart, we have one of those.
We have one gravel road.
Yeah, Airport Lane. There's two.
Yeah.
Several.
Uh,
Was it Gilson?
no,
I grew up in Minnesota.
what's the one
Northern
that's,
Wisconsin.
it's not good.
Oh, is that count as a road? I thought that was a drive.
Wait, is
Gravel.
that?
The town of 1200.
That's gravel. And that's got water.
Grand Sugar. Now we're south of Superior.
So Airport Lane is the one that's just off the highway here. You wouldn't even, I tried driving on it with my truck and I got stuck when I was trying to get to it.
So the one with the road closed sign on it right now?
No, not too far.
Oh,
It's the one that, sometimes you see the cops, it's like right across from the school.
oh, okay.
So there's a whole airport hangar back there, that's why it's airport lane.
That's where I go to whip my donuts. It's better than the parking lot, all right?
So let's see, Washington is next, and do we have any idea of what we want to tackle? Okay, are there any resurfacing roads that you think we're gonna wanna try to get this year, or are we done with road construction with Washington this year, and we're looking at 2027?
Yeah, so we have a cash project. I say this tentatively because it's really, if we could scrounge together this much cash. But we negated all of our cash purchases next year in order to do, it says Heather Lane from Pine to Milwaukee, mill overlay and storm work. It's like 180,000. And I know that Eric, you were talking about stretching this money to tackle a few other streets.
So. We were moving things around and trying to make everything stretch and require that, so actually, that amount I have in there was to do Fillmore. Heather and Clover.
Yeah, and it's also all about the mobilization fees for
Yep.
having all the equipment here at the same time, and that saves us money. in the long run.
So that was a 2-inch mill and overlay on those 3 streets. With some, there was, I think, 1 valve replacement, 1 hydrant replacement, and 1 sanitary sewer fix. So that would have got those 3 roads done.
And then the next full reconstruction is again Wheeler Avenue that we had kicked further down the line. That's for 2028 respectively.
Well, we might get that back under cost, because they're big, probably a third of the cost is underneath railroad tracks. Because it goes from 8-inch plastic to 6-inch clay to 6-inch concrete. And then back to 8-inch on the other side of the tracks. So it bottlenecks there and it catches the different connections.
But how long, I mean, it's going underneath the railroad tracks.
Yeah, it's like $300 a square foot and you have to do, I think it's like 200 and some feet.
Yeah, and railroad tracks,
And then.
because
it's got a
they're,
monitor.
they're,
It's like
I know a
more
pain in
than
the ass.
2-inch
sorry.
play with the,
But
I think
I,
it's like 2-inch play with the tracks.
and they'll be there,
Yeah.
they'll be there looking at everything and watching everything that you do, and it will.
So that's why we nixed it, because the cost was all outrageous, because there's only 4 hookups on that street. So,
And then coordinating with them also, it's kind of,
just trying to get hold of them,
yeah,
so.
Yeah, so we budgeted like 600K for everything with the water sewer street. And I think Isaac Strand came back at what?
1.1 or something
Yeah.
like that. So
And we were like, nope.
yeah,
okay, so we're basically good for this year, next year,
see what we can get with Fillmore and everything this year.
okay.
I
And
know
see if
it'll be
we
a
get a
start.
grant for Martin, I know you.
Yeah.
Hope for Martin with resurfacing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we, by some miracle, if we do get the grant for Martin, that this whole Heather Line Fillmore thing, honestly, will go out the window, because we'll need to have the capital to match the grant fund for that, so.
All right, any other discussion on the road rating list? No, then we will look at review and recommendation of sidewalks maintenance program by safe staff. Now, is this Director Paulus
I'll
or?
let Peter take
Okay.
So. We started with Safe Step in 2025. What they do is they go around and give us a. Summary presentation of our sidewalks in the village, how much it is, and then we tell them how much we want to spend, they go around and. They say we can get this much done and fix it, so what they do is, per our ordinance, if it's, anything more than 3/4 of an inch, they grind it down, I'm not sure exact words, but I'm just giving you a number, if it's too high of a step, they grind it down, if it's more than that, then they recommend replacement. So they just do the grinding and the recommendation, and then we do the replacements, so. And last year we did from Highland by the school. Went all the way down. To North Milwaukee, went up and around, I think maybe to settle. Sapphire Court. Sapphire Court, and that was like $4,100. And then out of the $5,000, we have $10,000 total in our budget for sidewalk fixes replacements that we did. DPW did. The sidewalk on Martin and Hickory, he tore that out and put ADA sidewalk in there. And then over by the post office on Manor and Regal, we tore that out and made those ADA. And then, of course, as we open the road up, it'd be like, that's why the whole road's sinking here. Storm sewer shots and holes and everything, so fix all that.
All right, so did they come in and look?
Yep, so they're gonna come in and give us a rough estimate, but they are now gonna start from. Where they started last year by the school, Highland and Martin. They're gonna run up, come down Regal, And then Fredonia Ave, as far as they can go. So then we'll try to start focusing on the main heavy areas.
So every year chip away a little bit
Yep,
more.
keep going some more, and I believe this year is my report to the mayor, right?
Yeah, so by ordinance, every 2 years, the DPW director is supposed to give you guys a report in May. The sidewalks that need direct replacement, and then again, we can especially assess them for that replacement and all that. So their findings that they find this year and last year will then get culminated into that report that we'll give you guys in May, and then you can decide if you want to replace it.
So they do a good job at it, so you back it right.
Yeah.
So it shows you where they went, what they fixed, and it shows their proposed. And some of the work.
So they want to go down Fredonia Ave.
Yep, they're gonna go to Fredonia Ave. I think we told them to stop. If they don't hit their target by the railroad tracks, so then go the other side, start coming back. Just so we have a stopping point, so. I guess I'd like to keep going, safe stuff. Guy does a good job, he responds when you ask him questions, and
And yeah, I've gone down Martin and I've seen it and it looks really nice and, you know, they definitely made it a little bit,
yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect
it's not
fix.
perfect fix, but at the same time, you're,
We have sidewalks in the apartments.
Where,
I don't know, this picture showing like sidewalks in the apartment complex of South Milwaukee. Or is that just them telling us where the village has sidewalks in it?
where you see this picture?
right there on that.
This one?
So,
Yeah, that one, so. They highlighted, it looks like it's in the apartments.
Yeah, it is in apartments, that wouldn't be solid.
No,
I think that was just their guy going around and catching sidewalk,
catching where there are sidewalks.
cause there was another spot too, over on the other side.
Side of the highway.
Yeah, for the park and ride, you put that in there.
yeah, because notice there's no sidewalks where I live.
Yes.
Zero. No, it's gonna be forever before you get sidewalks on Cedar Valley.
We don't want sidewalks on our street.
So I will remind the board that per village ordinance, there's supposed to be a sidewalk on one side of the street.
And I'm just saying that you need to get all the way through
Yeah.
Fox Glen and all the way up Mark and all of that, Filbert, before you even touch Cedar Valley, so.
I get it.
It's gonna be probably a while.
Yep.
A few more years.
So speaking of that, so part of you giving us this recommendation to do Fredonia Ave is that you're also okay with us not addressing areas like the neighborhood over here that doesn't have any sidewalk yet. We technically could go there next and then again, force them to have sidewalk, especially assess them, and go through that whole process. But if you don't want us to worry about that yet, and you just want us to worry about Fredonia Ave,
Let's-
that's,
I think we
Yeah.
should work on the existing sidewalks first.
Yeah.
And then we can start tackling
We should probably make sure existing sidewalks are meeting
ADA
Some
compliance
standards,
and standardization.
before we go and add a bunch more sidewalks, then. People are like, well, why aren't any of these other sidewalks able to even be passed now?
great. So if we can just have a motion on our recommendation to start.
Motion to recommend Safe Step complete their sidewalk survey.
Second.
All
I
those
would
in
just say
favor?
as recommended.
As recommended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next item up for discussion is review and recommendation of crosswalk signage locations.
Okay.
So what have we determined, Director Collins?
Alright, there is 3 spots. We have by the Catholic schools on Wilson Street.
That's greatly in need, I
So
think.
since I've been here, I've been constantly getting emails, and they're not threatening or anything from the school, I'll just say like, hey. There's a lot of traffic, people don't see us, you know, it's a tough intersection. So we looked at that one, I think the idea behind Strand was not to have,
Why don't you go through the three options and then we'll talk about Strand.
so that was the first option. The second one was what trustee Vander. DJ brought up about North Milwaukee and South Milwaukee connection there. And then the next one would be at Wisconsin filling out. I know with the splash pad again and the soccer fields and the baseball field. That, you know, that's where a lot of kids, you know, will come down Fillmore. Jump across to ride their bike or walk down there. The issue that. We see with that is
It's
the
not
hill.
exactly straight, and it's hill.
So those were the three that we brought up to them. I do have a set of solar panel flashers that I bought off auction that we can install, but I would not install them at Wisconsin one, just because they're not LED, they're older style, but the price I paid for them, some $20 to the cost of what Dollar General was.
How much did you get charged for Dollar General?
Like 15,000, which is what we budgeted.
Yeah.
So we walked the site today, actually with Strand. We stopped at each intersection for them to take a look at it. The one by the school, Strand has the most concern about. They have to rely on the, uniform traffic code and manuals for signage. And I don't remember the exact reasoning, but that's just a difficult intersection for them to put the flashing signs, and they feel like it might be in conflict of the code. So they're gonna give us a write-up on that to see what they recommend for that intersection. The intersection that you had recommended is pretty free and open, that we could do something there if we wanted to. It's a
that's
matter
on
which
Milwaukee?
one, that's Milwaukee.
Okay.
And then up by Wisconsin Street, that's where we all agreed that we put the high tech, the 15K marker there. One, because again, the increased traffic we're assuming is there. And two, we can put a warning kind of signal light before the hill. So that way, if somebody hits the button, then they'll get notified on the other side of the hill before they come speeding down. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's the way to solve that. Our other concern was, if you're familiar with that, the neighboring property there in that corner has a wood barricade wall that's there right up to the sidewalk, along with the gigantic bushes that are there. And there's really only, I think he measured 24, 26 inches grass between the curb and then the sidewalk that's there. We need 22 inches to fit the sign or pole that would be there. So Isaac is like, we could just squeeze it in.
Now, would we do from the corner of Fillmore to, or would we try to do a straight, or is it gonna be?
Yeah, it'd be straight from the west side of Wisconsin, straight across.
Okay, straight across.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna try to do a funky angle? It's not
No,
straight.
I mean, there's no way to do it really with the chiropractic place there. And
Yeah, and that would make the crosswalk going across the street much bigger.
Yeah.
Versus just doing a straight across path. I still just get so worried about the hill.
Now, would that also entail us redoing the sidewalk from the standpoint of an ADA
All
compliance?
done.
All done? Okay,
So we just leave. Where everyone wants to go with it and.
And we would
You
walk
walk
the
the foot?
sidewalk on. The west side of the street, or the crosswalk on the west side,
It'd be on the west side, yeah.
because it would meet up with the existing sidewalk.
Yeah. So what we talked about today with Strand is Strand's gonna do a write-up on all three intersections with what they recommend, code and all that good stuff. And then, because it was such a lively conversation at the end of our last village board meeting, I think we'll just give it to the full village board and say, these are the options, what do you guys wanna do? And then we can have a real solid idea of or we'll get a solid approval from you all of what projects to do. And then we can order that sign and get going.
any lead time on that? Are they readily available?
Well, for Dollar General wasn't.
That's what I'm wondering.
Well, I'm just thinking about this now. I mean, we know we're gonna use it somewhere and it's already budgeted for. I wonder if we just order it and
Yeah.
then we'll worry about where we put it later.
Just because ideally, I'd love to have it in where the splash pad opens up for the summer, because we're gonna have really big increase of foot traffic and bike traffic for the summer months. I mean, it's the soccer fields, it's baseball time, and it's the the disc golf course, it's the splash pad and everything, and yeah, if we can go ahead and get that order so that we have it regardless of where we put it, but I think both of us would agree that, and the board would probably agree that that would probably be the best location for the expensive piece of expensive.
Great.
But just acknowledge, trustee Searing's point. I mean, I feel you too. I was there and watched the cars whip over the hill. I mean, I don't know. how we
I come
saw-
out there a lot when I'm walking the dogs, and it's not a great spot to come out to the main road and then stand there. Usually, like when I got the dogs, I'm usually like listening, like, oh, can I hear a car coming on the hill? Because when you're out in the street already, when they crest the hill, you're already in the street. Like it's not a. Whereas, again, I would feel more comfortable about it if somebody pushed a button and then at the top of the hill, there was an LED flashing light that said like, oh, the crosswalk is in use. So now somebody's being warned already, like, slow down before you press.
And that's kind of what we envisioned. We want to have some sort of messaging system that catches people before they crest over the hill. Yeah.
You got that massive one in Grafton that actually has a stoplight
Yeah.
before the crosswalk, so when they activate it, it activates the stoplight, they have to stop at and sit there.
Yeah, I think we probably get some pushback from the county on
Gotta
that.
say, if we talk about stopping on the county highway, that's a whole other.
I know.
I mean, at least with the crosswalk, we give them fair warning, and that also gives Marshall Lee an opportunity to definitely pay some, or, target people who aren't paying attention to the crosswalk, because it is a Wisconsin. I think, isn't a law that they need to, if people are in the crosswalk, they need to stop anyway, they have to stop.
So it's a law that you have to, Wisconsin is really loose on this law, and it's really unfortunate, and I hope it gets brought back to a state level.
You have to be in the.
You have to be actively in the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Which is a problem, because I'm not gonna tell my kids to actively go into the crosswalk
Yes.
and hope that the car is gonna stop,
Yes.
but like the law
But still,
reads, you have
that
to
is something
actively
that,
into crosswalk.
with it being flashing and that it's going to be used and stuff, that it should give Marshall Lee some additional.
Teeth.
Teeth to writing tickets if he finds people not in compliance with. Because cars, I don't know about the rest of you, but I see somebody waiting there and it's flashing, I stop. And hopefully those people do that, but
Well, like I mean, that time we got that report from the marshal too with, I don't remember if that was to the board or to the public safety, but when we got that report of some of the speeds that went by the speed sign. And when I seen some of them speeds at 65 and
73 was the highest.
In town.
And it was just Eric, so.
yeah, so the speed sign at the end of town, cause it will record like, each speed going, it doesn't take a picture or anything, it just records.
Right.
And that there was, I think 73 was the highest. I mean, the average was like 28 or 32 or something. The average was still down there, but it was still like, those ones are concerning. Okay.
all right. We need a recommendation.
Nope, just some feedback, is great, and then, like I said, we'll bring it to the village board at a future date.
Okay, all right. Do we have any correspondence? Any items for future consideration? Besides giving Eric more money.
Often, you'll be hearing from me.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. don't need to keep pumping more money to Eric.